with everything in life, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Robert Greene quote from 48 Laws of Power. Not a guy I necessarily agree with what he says or his overall writings, but he has a quote, and I'm going to paraphrase it about always keep an eye on the young, the future, the people that are rising up in power, the future of the world, essentially. Make sure that these people don't aren't able to surpass you. And he's talking about, of course, being in your power of your journey of power. Excuse me. That to keep an eye on the young, because essentially when they rise up, they could easily surpass you, just as you maybe has surpassed the people below you by being rebellious, right? By being rebellious against the old ways and starting the new trends or whatever it might be in the world, right? And I always like this quote because I remember seeing this quote in the book a while back. And I thought it was interesting because I always felt that I was that guy. I remember being 22 years old reading that, and now I'm 28. It hasn't been that much long later. It's been about 6 years, nothing crazy. But I'm really glad that doing content back then, I've stuck to it. And I've obviously taken breaks here and there for, a month, maybe a couple months even. But I've never gone over a year taking a break from this content. And again, my original channel I had, for those of you who might just be tuning in, got taken out during COVID. I think it was actually in 2021, not completely during it, but you could imagine why, because I was speaking against what the mainstream was talking about back then. Um, so anyway, it makes me happy that I stuck to my beliefs, right? And this is what I hope that younger people see in me. If there's any maybe teens, much younger people listening or whatever, um, if there's anything that I hope they can get, even people in their early 20s who might not be that much younger, but in my age bracket, is you got to stick to certain beliefs. The problem with a lot of men in particular, and I mean, this goes for anyone, but with men, men are supposed to be courageous. Men are supposed to be the ones on the front field fighting for truth, protecting women. And we're not doing that right now because none of us know truth. All of us are completely scatterbrained, right, on everything going on in the world. From politics to who's really controlling what. Even if you know some truth, you fall down this rabbit hole, that rabbit hole. Um, you have to really dedicate your time, and you have to put your ego aside. You have to put your pride away. You have to put what maybe you think you might know away, and take in a lot of information and compare it with each other, and keep having a quest and hunger for more truth, no matter how much it might hurt you. And of course, this is much easier said than done. But I really love the quote. And again, I kind of paraphrased it. But again, the quote went along the lines of, if you are in power, to keep an eye on the young and essentially what the future trends are going to be, because they're obviously going to rebel against whatever authority you have at some point, and you got to be ready for it. How are you going to handle it? Um, and if kids want to rebel, I'm all for it. Hey, I've made videos during the COVID era too, around that time, my old channel, talking about, hey, if there's any people in nearby college campuses, because I lived in a different town at the time, um, that want to do something about protesting and the mask wearing and the 6 feet apart stuff. If you guys want to do something, hey, we could hit me up. Of course, no one did. Um, but my point being is, when kids grow up, or when they get to around my age, which is 28, right, their late 20s, their 30s, and they start to obviously become a much more wise and aware and mature in who they are and how the world works, if they do any sort of quest for truth in their life, hopefully by that point, um, they're gonna look at certain people, their elders, whoever it might be, their seniors, and they're gonna know right away who spent their years growing up. Doesn't matter how old they are now. I don't care if they're 80 years old. If they don't know the truth, if they can't understand simple truths like politics being fake, that is a life, I'm sorry to say, most likely well wasted. Because I don't want to say someone's life is a complete waste. But if you're 80 years old and you still believe politics is real, you never found out that your vote doesn't count, I mean, shame on you. Seriously. You've done nothing for the next generation, And that's something the next generation is going to notice, and they're going to get mad and they're not going to respect you. So when these older people say, what's wrong with these kids, or you say, what's wrong with the new generation, it's a reflection of your bad parenting, your bad leadership, your horrible leadership, I should say, coming from someone in my age bracket. Horrible, absolute, terrible leadership. The worst leadership you could possibly imagine. And that goes for the truth community as well. The truth community, as I've said many times, is a bunch of cowards who are inconsistent, who can't even do something simple like show themselves. They just want to tweet all day. They just want to tweet. They just want to comment. They just want to hide virtually. They don't even want to post a picture of themselves. They don't even want to use their real name. I mean, it's crazy, man. So, this is why things are so bad, because of the horrible leadership from the elders that's now been trickled down to the younger generation. And I'm sure there's way more boomers or whatever, Gen Xers, who, whatever the older generations are, that are awake to truth than millennials and Gen Zers, of course. Because millennials and Gen Zers, I mean, we grew up in the information age, right? Where information was already well consolidated by the time we were born. So again, it can either work for or against the powers that be, this mass media, right? If it could completely go against them, right, until they completely monopolize the internet, which is looking like it's going to come close to it, probably by 2030, I would imagine, where people won't even be able to have personal websites anymore talking about truth. So this is what I'm saying. And if you're an angry youth, maybe, because I definitely got angry about this stuff when I woke up, and how, wow, how could so many people be deceived about these things? How could people not be aware? How ignorant? And I understand, right? So I understand how someone who's young, maybe waking up, might feel, oh man, this is crazy, all this stuff. And you just gotta understand that you can't rely on your friends or your family, okay? Your friends and your family can only do so much for you. But when it comes to your conquest for truth, you have to be able to do that for yourself, and you have to be mature enough to take in the information for what it is, and somehow, maybe some way, network with people you can. Hey, my direct messages, my email, everything is open, so that's why I put my stuff there. Of course, no one ever messages me, but if you're someone who's younger and you feel like you need to talk to someone, you can always talk to me. If you feel angry about the deceptions going on in the world, or maybe stuff you're even confused about, because I know there's bad parenting out here because parents don't know truth, and now all these kids are growing up with being 15 years old, and talking about being depressed, and all these things, right? On medication. It's just so unnecessary what we're doing to the youth out here. And yet no one cares, right? Because everyone's distracted. You got work, you got money to make, you got bills to pay, you got sports on TV. So everyone's distracted. Therefore, we have no future because no one cares. We're walking into the slaughterhouse and no one cares. No one's saying anything about it.